Welcome back to the podcast. Today, my guest is Mike from Corner Slice, and we're going to talk all about how he moved his operations from Manhattan to New Jersey. They do square pizzas. He's a chef. He's got a chef background. And this is a great episode because we touch on marketing, getting comfortable on video, making a great product, how to become part of the community, and how to start small. He started in a community kitchen, did that for many years, used the systems and the things he wish he had to build out his next location, which is where he is now. This is a great episode, tons of great information from Mike and myself, and I just think this is a great conversation. If you're in the business, you're going to get a lot of value from this. If you're getting started, you're going to get tremendous value from this, and I want to share it with you, so let's get into it right now. Me too. I've been following you for a long time on Instagram. Give everybody a little insight as to what the name of your shop is, where it is, and what you're doing.
Yeah, name of shop's Corner Slice. We've been in Maplewood, New Jersey now for just a few days from 7 months. Before that, we were in Manhattan for over 7 years, close to 8 years. Wow. And we just do square pies. We call them New York square pies. It's kind of our own thing, and very tight menu, and a slice shop. You know, it's not a full pizzeria, full restaurant. You know, it's pizza, some drinks, a salad. You know, that's about it.
I love it. I love that model.
Yeah. I got to basically like apply everything I learned from the city. I got to kind of redo things out here with like more room. Our space in the city was in a food hall. It was in Gotham West Market. So we never, it was 300 square feet. So,
wow.
We didn't, So, I literally built a list of like what I would do next time for the whole time we were there. And I got to apply pretty much all of it, like literally to this space. So,
how many square feet is the space you're in now?
It's not huge. It's maybe like 1,200, 1,400. It depends on realtor math. I feel like if you're in New York City, they tell you it's about 1,800.
Right.
But in reality, it's 1,400.
So 1,400 square feet, and you can fit everything that you need to do in there?
Yeah. It's probably like 3/4 of the space is kitchen. It's like 20, 22 seats in the front. And we have some outdoor seating. And so it's like lean, with the slice shop, people are in and out. Even when we first opened, we were really lucky. We got some great press like immediately. And so we had lines, out the door and around the corner. And even with that, I was blown away how the turnover in the dining room, even with only 20, 22 seats, was like fine. By the time we served people, they were out,
So
it doesn't take long to get a slice.
Yeah, right. Is it more people coming in to get a slice, or is it they're getting whole pies too?
It's both, but it's definitely majority slices still, which I like. I never wanted, if I wanted to not see my customer, I would open a ghost kitchen or a takeout only thing. To me, the slice shop, what's cool about it is that it's a vibe. It's a place to go hang out, meet up. There's no barrier to entry. My customer base is literally everyone who eats solid food. So it's like that's what's cool about it. So I want people to hang out. And a really neat part about this space was we have this whole like small parking lot next to us. It's like too small to really be an effective parking lot. So we have it as some parking, a lot of seating, and then we're able to do events and stuff out there too, which is a huge thing that drew me to the space. And so like this weekend we're participating in this thing in our neighborhood here called Porch Fest. And so it's 70 bands playing in driveways and yards and in some businesses. And they shut down the neighborhood, a lot of closed streets. And it's just like a giant music street party. And so we get to participate in that. 4 different bands that are all customers of mine, that I've met through the shop. And we got DeCosmo's coming out. They're like the oldest Italian ice place in New Jersey, I think the country. And they're doing ices, and we're doing special pie, special pastry. Like we get to have fun with having people here, that I wouldn't give that up. I feel like that's what makes it unique.
So your other place was more of a ghost kitchen? Is that what it was?
No, I just think it was like a Manhattan pizzeria. So like we were majority takeout sales. It was a food hall though. Gotham West, pretty well known food hall, closed about a year after we left.
Okay, so now you have your own spot. How did you find this space? Was it going through a realtor or just kind of looking where you are?
No realtor, no middlemen in this. That was kind of what was nice after dealing with so much Manhattan stuff, where you could spend 6 months working on a deal between lawyers and brokers and everyone, have it fall apart at the end.
Yeah, it does take a long time,
So
doesn't it?
yeah, that's the game they play, so this was cool. There was none of that. I found it on Instagram. It's a space I was already familiar with. A business was here that I was familiar with called the Bread Stand.
Okay.
And so the bread stand posted it that it was available on Father's Day. And I was on the way to visit my folks and I saw it and I immediately responded. I saw it like a day later. I met with the owner operator. He actually moved it 2 blocks away. He combined his two businesses and to this giant, really beautiful space with a full liquor license. So it didn't close, it was successful. And it was a great head start, to have been a bakery and have people used to coming here for high quality, high quality carbohydrates, I
Yeah,
guess.
plus it's like you said, it didn't close because it wasn't successful. There's a lot of these places who have pizza shops in them and people want to open a pizza shop and it's been 3 pizza shops in 5 years. And
Yeah.
you're like, I can make it work. And you're like, how are you going to make it work when 3 other people couldn't make it work at the same time?
Yeah. Or I felt like it would be just as bad if it was a wildly successful place, because then you'd keep it, the same.
Yeah.
Because that would be crazy to change it. And
Right.
and I'm just trying to do my own thing with everything. So this was perfect for me because it was proven, already kind of built out, already had a ton of power. It had AC, it had a lot of the stuff. We did a full build out. We made it be our own thing. But it already had that, and it didn't have any stigma. It's like, oh, that's Johnny's Pizzeria. It's been that for 40 years, A lot of the spaces out here are in strip malls. There's nothing wrong with that, but I wanted to kind of create our own universe, our own world over here. And so this space was perfect for that. And because I had literally looked at over 100 spaces in Manhattan and Brooklyn in the previous years, as soon as I saw this one, I'm like, oh, this is the best one I've seen, Best one I've seen because I'm comparing Manhattan to New Jersey for the lowest price.
Yeah.
So it's how do I not do it? There wasn't much thinking,
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody on a different podcast before this week, and he was in Manhattan looking at leases, and he was telling me the number of monthly fee for the lease, and I was like, holy shit, how do you make that work? It's so much stress to be put under just for the rent alone, let alone the labor and everything else that goes along with it.
Yeah, no, the thing, it's very cost prohibitive just to secure a lease is such a huge expense in Manhattan. And to me, having had the business there through COVID, basically we opened almost 3 years exactly before COVID lockdowns. We opened March 7th or 6th of 2017. So those lockdowns were March 16th of 2020. So right when we're on our feet, right when the business 3 years in, you know what you're doing, you got it figured out, you got a good crew, everything, and then it gets thrown away, So after making it through that, you want a sure thing. Those sure thing locations in Manhattan are 30, 40 grand a month,
That's crazy.
And then you have to build them out. It's usually 4 to 6 months rent as a security deposit plus lawyers' fees, because you're dealing with not a neighborhood landlord, you're dealing with the big boys. And so you better go in prepared. And that also means you locked in, just a lot of money up front. That the pressure on that, it kind of changes what the business needs to be. And my goal with this, was just to do my own thing, so having less pressure makes it more fun.
Yeah, for sure. Did you have to gut the place, or what did you do for the build out?
So, honestly, it was ready to rip when we got it. We really could have just cleaned it up and moved our stuff in and opened. But
you already had a pizza oven and everything you had already going.
Yeah, because we closed our space. Yeah, we really could have done that. But I hadn't really been out here that much. I had moved to New Jersey. We ended up, me and my wife ended up buying a house out here. I grew up in North Jersey.
Okay.
She did too. And so we bought a house out here. So but I wasn't planning on moving. You know, I never thought I'm leaving my Greenpoint, my Brooklyn apartment. I had a rent stabilized apartment. I never thought I'm moving. We kept it for another year and a half, almost 2 years after we got the house. It was just that moment when we could do it because stuff was cheap. You know, we bought it in that COVID moment. It was the house she grew up in. We got a great deal from her parents when they retired, moved down to Florida. So anyway, the more I'm out here in Jersey, I'm like, I see the places that are really doing it, really doing a good job, and the volume places, and I see their setup, and that made me be like, you know what? If we want to do this, we're going to have to build this out differently than it was. We can't just open and see what happens. Like, you know, and again, I had that list. I had a 40-item list of the things I want to do different, and I couldn't do them all, you know, unless we remodeled it. And then reality set in, so we decided that we make our plans, get the permits, you know, all that stuff, and the price of everything is completely insane now. So we
like
ended up doing
for contractors, you mean, or the equipment itself, or both?
everything. Yeah. I mean, I can show you my invoice for every piece of equipment I bought new, nice stuff like advanced Tabco tables and sinks. I was the first Pizza Master oven in Manhattan. You know, so the first Pizza Master. Literally, like, that invoice is how much my oven costs now. Like, my full restaurant.
Wow.
In 2016, I bought everything November, October 2016. That total number is how much my Pizza Master oven now costs, just the oven.
That's crazy.
You know, so yeah, it's insane. So like, that made us kind of end up building everything ourselves and doing everything.
Hold on a second. Let me stop you there. And I just want to, I'm going to clip this out. So you saying that the build out of your restaurant in Manhattan, the total price is the same price as the pizza oven now. How much have you raised your? Go ahead.
Just the total price of the equipment, like the prep tables, sinks, fridges,
like everything that goes inside the business.
Yeah, not the build out.
How much have you raised your prices in that time frame?
Oh, I mean, it's remarkable how much they haven't changed.
Exactly.
You know, that's what's messed up. You know, the first 3 years of us, like, it was crazy how much everything was locked in. You know, like tomato, flour, cheese, those prices weren't fluctuating. Then those first few years of COVID, it would be like constant. Yeah. And so what we did, instead of raising prices, because especially in Manhattan, you can't. There's so much competition. What we ended up doing is just trying to figure out how to be more efficient, more lean, how to do everything better. And that was like a big reason to get some more space and open, you know, get out of the food hall. We couldn't change it. You know, such a tight space. To move any element, you have to change everything. So it just didn't, we couldn't get more efficient there. You know, we were kind of like maxed out, where the only way to sell more stuff would be to have more staff. And so I just, you know, in Manhattan, that's your biggest expense, staff by far. It got crazy competitive, you know? And so being efficient in your layout and equipment and processes and techniques and looking at all of that became my like obsession, you know? And that's how we could keep the costs right, you know, and keep our food costs where it needed to be without raising prices, or with minimally raising prices.
So now that you have the spot kind of where you want it to be, you've laid it out exactly how you want it. Is it a lot easier to run?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, basically the emphasis this time, you know, so when I first opened the store, my background is as a chef in New York. Okay. And I had opened a lot of restaurants, you know, big, like regular restaurants. And this was my first time as an owner when I opened. And so I viewed all the problems when I opened as like how you solve them as a chef. Like, I'm going to do some more specials. Oh, I bet no one thought I could make this crazy thing. You know, I'm going to go to the farmer's market 4 times a week, the same as like John George or something, you know? And I'm thinking like, this is just going to make people notice what we're doing. And we have, you know, when we opened, it was, we were open all day. We were open from 7:30 in the morning to midnight. Wow. We had a whole cafe menu, a 3-group La Marzocco espresso machine. We were doing a dozen pastries every day, breakfast sandwiches. We had like this full spread, you know, I was insanely ambitious. I actually have no clue how we did it then, you know?
That's a long hour. Those are long hours.
And in this tiny space, 7 days a week, you know? But it was like the grind I was used to. But so for me, I'm like, yeah, I can do it. You know, of course, I'm a fucking chef in New York. But like now with the experience I have as an owner, now that I've been doing this for this long, simplifying, making it easier to manage, puts marketing on the menu, you know? So instead of trying to solve stuff by doing a cool thing, crazy thing, adding things, I now just have time to focus on marketing what we do, you know? And that's like the hardest thing to get your head wrapped around, because it's like there's never enough. You know, there's never a point where like you're like, okay, we talked about that enough. That just does itself, you know? It's never ending. So not only do you need the time to do the marketing, it's like you need to be in the headspace to be thinking of things that way. You know, it's just not natural for me. I was never like a computer guy, a phone guy, a social media guy, you know, but now I've trained myself to all the time be like, I have to take a photo of that. Oh, that looks cool. Take a photo. Oh, how are we going to make a thing about this? How are we going to, you know, and way in advance so we can actually film it, edit it, put it out, make it feel like a surprise, you know?
Yeah.
It's so much. I put all that same energy I used to put in the grind of being there for 14, 16 hours a day, never ending prep. Like I put that same energy now into the marketing, you know? So that's kind of what's made possible. I can't ever say any of this is easier though, but it's definitely like simpler.
I mean, marketing your business is like running the business, right? Like Friday, you could have the busiest Friday in the world. It doesn't mean you're all right. Business is done. Like you still got to get ready for Saturday.
Yeah. No, it never ends. And I really think, you know, I'm lucky in that I don't know if I'm lucky, but the first restaurant I opened is like pre-iPhone, you know. I'm not that old, but I got to do this before the iPhone when, you know, it was a different thing. Yeah. And so it's crazy how much the business has changed in that time. And so like I feel like my opportunity in opening the new store and moving my store, like not making a second one, you know, actually shutting it down, moving it, was that I could set myself up for this new reality. You know, I couldn't figure out how to do it any other way, you know, because I do think there's just this huge shift you can't ignore. You know, it's a couple years ago, it was like, you know, especially COVID, it was like, all right, you know, the cash only pizzeria in town from 1955. They're like, okay, I guess we'll make a Facebook, you know, guess we'll make online ordering, you know, something like that, you know. It's gone beyond that to me now. I don't think that is even the minimum anymore, you know. So
I mean, those places are dying. Those places that don't have any social media presence or online presence are becoming more and more rare, and eventually will be gone.
Yeah, and that's a shame, but I get it because it's so much energy. It's hard if you've been doing the same thing for like 50 years for the world to be upside down, you know? So it's
just those places are built on nostalgia now, right? And like the people who are going to those places that have that nostalgic feeling are getting older themselves, and the younger generations don't know that. They didn't like they grow up differently. Kids nowadays grow up differently than we grew up. We grew up going outside, playing, hanging out with our friends outside, like in the moment, outdoors, without phones. Nowadays, kids don't go anywhere. They don't get their license till they're older now. Like they don't have the same ambition that we had. It's just a different time. Life is a lot easier for them.
Yeah, I think a huge part of why also I ended up where I did here in Maplewood, you know, suburb of the city. It's very much to me looks like Queens. It's much more on like the urban side of suburban. You know, it's tighter lots, and but it attracts young families, and the young families, the parents are about my age, you know. And so what's cool about it is that, well, there's a lot of great parts, but what's unique about it is that they have that same nostalgia I have for what they grew up with, and they want their kids to have that experience. And so that's part of why I felt like a slice shop. You know, if you're in a town where everyone takes pride in the town and that it's a great place to raise a family and have their kid have a great experience in life, like I want to be the slice shop for that. I want to be part of that. I want to be the place that everyone has pride in and is like, yeah, I got corner slice in my town. And then those kids can grow up with that. And then it really ruins them in the future because they're never going to be able to move. I feel like there's so much cool stuff going on here right now that they're going to be used to this like high quality, almost like Manhattan level restaurants, that are happening over here now. It's not like what I grew up with, it's not, it's going to be hard for them to try and be someplace else.
So your environment is more, it's a rural environment, but it's city-like. So there's a lot of people kind of come in there during the day.
Oh no, it's definitely, it's not rural at all. I mean, we're like, suburb of the city, suburb of Newark.
Okay.
It's suburban for sure. But yeah, daytime, there's not a lot of other stuff by us for lunch options. We're kind of like, and I think in general, we just do our own thing. We only do this one certain type of pizza. I think my goal is to be, a neighborhood spot, but also be a destination. I think if you go for that, you can draw enough people even during the day on a Monday, to make it work.
I think that's what people are afraid of is like slice shops like that. There are enough people in my area to make it worth it during the day.
I think you got to just do something unique enough that makes people want to come check it out. I mean, it's a lot of work. We do new special pies all the time, new pastries. We just constantly doing things to kind of lure people in, give them an excuse to come in and try something new. I mean, I think about this constantly because I'm doing all this online stuff now. It's like, if the thing that makes social media successful, whether it's YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, it's showing people things that they haven't seen before. That's what makes stuff go viral or makes stuff popular. It's something they haven't seen before. That's sort of now my job in the restaurant. And then I just have to capture that on video, photos, and show it. So we're always up to no good, making something, new that I literally have people coming through the door being like, why are you doing this to me? I'm like, what's wrong? They're like, this is my third time this week, and I'm like, I'm sorry. They're like, you got to stop with these specials, But I feel like that's also because we started with the coffee and I saw how like addictive and habitual that is. I wanted to make our slice shop kind of be that same way too, that it's like, it's that extra little treat, so you get people in that midday time too, or that snack before dinner, or they eat at the restaurant on the next door to us and, they're not quite full at the end, or they want to take some slices home. You kind of capture all that other stuff. I learned about that from, that's like a Starbucks thing, how do they keep growing sales, or even like a Taco Bell back in the day. I don't know if they advertise this, but like fourth meal, it's like, how are you going to get people to come more? You have to invent like another time and reason for them to come in,
That's great.
So I feel like that's what we try and do. We just like make up reasons, make up fun reasons to come here more often,
Do you do that with the pizza toppings and like the style of pizza you're making? Is that what you're meaning?
Yeah. We do a different special pie every week or more often. So totally unique prep, seasonal stuff right now in summer. Like right now today, it's Jersey corn pie with a mixture of long hots, Jimmy Nardello peppers, so it's seasonal stuff, all from New Jersey, local. It's like the third corn pie we've done this summer. It's all stuff I either get from local farms or like pick up at the green market, like farmer's market myself. Next week is our, or really this Sunday for that thing I was telling you about, Porch Fest, doing our cheeseburger pizza. So we brought that back a few times. It's really, really good. I have it very dialed in because we've been doing it now for like 6-7 years. And so it's the McRib method,
Yeah.
The McRib, they got to bring it back
or like
so they can tell you it's back.
Or something like that.
Yeah. It's, they tried to put the McRib on the menu all the time. It doesn't sell, but if you bring it back every once in a while, rumors swirl, we'll never get McRib again,
So I'm looking at your menu. I'm looking at your menu now as you're talking. You have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pizzas on there. Like those are the permanent ones, and then you bring
it's
in
really
specials.
8. It's really 8 because one's I just list pepperoni. That's just pepperoni on a cheese pizza.
Okay.
You know, but just to make it easy for people. So yeah, it's 8 pies, 8 drinks, a salad, and we added this garlic knot thing that we're now went slightly viral for. But that's not on. It's so new. I don't even have it updated. If you're looking at my online menu, but
Okay.
we run it as specials. You know, we do everything as specials, so we can do like a dozen of something, 2 dozen. We can do whatever we want. You know, Slice Shop you sell out of a display. That's what's so cool about it. If you put it in the display, you got it in the POS system, you can sell it. You know, you don't have to like.
And it makes it, like you said, people can come in and get something different every time. If you like, I'm all for a small menu because I like the fact that, you know, it's easier to do if you have a small menu because it's less training, it's less prep, it's more consistent, the less things you do. But you're saying we're going to do that, but then once a week we're going to do something that does a couple things. It makes it better for people to get a new option that we don't have to do every single day. And it probably helps with like your creativity and not feeling like it's Groundhog Day doing the same thing every day.
Oh yeah, it's key. One of the key elements to keeping good staff, attracting good staff. I mean, I think that was like one of my biggest lessons about marketing as an owner too, in this new dynamic, is that all the marketing I'm doing for customers is also marketing for staff.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to have the best team I can have. I want to have fun with the people I work with. I'm cooking too. You know, I started as a dishwasher. I'm not like, you know, I feel like I just work with everybody, you know, so I want to have fun with them. I want people that are engaged and into it. And so doing something, they want to do fun stuff too, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's a huge key piece to it, you know?
I'm looking at your Instagram as you're talking, corner_slice on Instagram, or just corner slice on Instagram. You can go check it out. And I think I found the garlic knot one that you were mentioning. It's like just a giant garlic knot, not gigantic, but like a hand size, like fist size.
It's big, but that's not the point of it, you know? So basically what the quickest way I can tell it, or what makes it unique, is that, you know, we're a slice shop. We always wanted to put garlic knots on. At the end of the day, garlic knot is not, it's fine. You know, it's bread tossed with flavors, you know, it's okay. Yeah. Everyone kind of just did the same one. So we never figured out a really good way to do it. In the new space, you know, I told you we had done pastries in our old store because we had a full cafe. We were open early in the morning. One of the things we made for fun, we made a semolina chocolate babka. So we did like a riff. We made it, you know, Italian-American-y with the semolina. It was very New York-y with just being a babka, doing this 8 years ago, and that was like less common. And my brother Pete, who does all my dough and everything, he had it really dialed in. So in the new space, we wanted to do that again, and we messed with it again. And he kind of was like doing that technique, and it came out super good. And so that technique is basically like, you know, imagine you're making a cinnamon roll, right? You have a rectangle of dough, and you're spreading all the filling, and then you roll it up, and then you slice it. So instead of just slicing it and then it being that like typical cinnamon roll shape, we instead take that long roll and cut it into 4 long strips, and then we're braiding it all together. So it's the difference is now the stuff that's normally only on the outside of the garlic knot is proofed and then baked on the inside, all braided. And so it pulls apart in layers, almost like, not, you know, it's not a laminated dough, but almost like a croissant kind of deal.
Yeah.
So it's just got this crazy texture to it because the top and outside gets really crispy the way we do it. The inside's super light. It's got the flavor all throughout. And then it's just large, so it's shareable. That's kind of always my goal, is like everything we sell is like, if you're hungry, one person can eat it and feel fine, because we use high quality flour, you know, full fermentation, all that stuff. But it's also big enough that you can share it, you know, with your friend. So that's the only reason it's that size. It's like absolutely not a stunt thing. Wasn't the plan for this to go crazy. Then one video went completely nuts, and we went from doing like 2 dozen, maybe 3 dozen on the weekend to like 100 a day. Wow. You know? And
what are you cooking it in? Like, what pan are you cooking it in? It almost looks like a muffin pan.
Not a muffin pan, in a ring mold.
Okay.
It just so it comes over the top of the ring mold. That's why it looks like that. But the sides are straight. Muffin tin.
I interrupted you. You said you were doing a dozen a day to how many now?
well, like 2 dozen, we were doing, and then that video came out, and instantly we were selling those out in like an hour.
Wow.
So now we're like doing 100 a day.
That's
And
crazy.
I don't really want to do more than that. I don't want it to be, I hate when things are limited on purpose, but that gets us to the end of the day, where we might sell out early sometimes if someone comes in and buys a dozen at a time or something. But it gets us there, keeps it fresh. It's the same thing as the pizza. You don't bake the full day's worth of pizza at noon, and
Right.
so it's yeah, I'm happy with it as is, and it's been fun to see how that. I've never had anything like that happen before, so it was fun to get a taste for what that's like.
Did you like it? Like, do you like that feeling or no?
Well, yeah, initially you like it, but then I think the thing that's like the wake up call is like, man, this stuff that used to make you is now like you get 2 weeks of it being busy. Um, you don't get 2 months. I'm always blown away if you look at some well known pizza places, like the initial press that put them on the map. Like if you look at like the first New York Times article Ed Levine ever wrote that mentioned DeFara Pizza,
Yeah.
it's not this amazing, crazy thing. It's like part of another article that you would have had to read in the paper version of the New York Times, you know? And that's what started it all, and still has this effect to this day. Or like Badia, Pizzeria Badia in Philly,
Yep.
where Bon Appetit magazine wrote they're like, is this the best pizza in the US? It's like a 2-paragraph little article in the magazine, but because that kind of media used to have so much power, it was so concentrated, it could make that be true, and for forever, basically. Now you can have a video make, I think it's currently at like 1.7 million or 1.6 million views, which is still insane to me. That's so bizarre.
Right.
But really that's like, hey, you get like 2 weeks of people knocking down your door and then they move on,
I wonder if
it's
is that because social media just goes so fast and there's this constant what's next?
I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
and there's so much. How many creator people are there now, and every single one of them gets the mission.
Yeah.
They all know, hey, how you build an audience, how you find people, how you get people, show them something they haven't seen before. There's not even the I don't know the right word for it, but in the past, say you did, a really famous one would be the cronut, right? So, like,
Cronut,
especially
yeah.
in New York, cronut
Croissant
went
donut
crazy.
together.
Yeah, the cronut, Dominica Ansel, the cronut went insane. And so your cronut goes viral, right? You have people lining up. Now there's news showing it. Now the magazines are calling and they want to show it. Now you get a book deal. Like there was things that would happen from what now creators make a version of every day,
Right.
and it's not like, okay, deal is done, like money's in the bank. It's like, nope, got to wake up tomorrow, do another one, because that media isn't even there anymore,
Yeah.
so it's a lot of work, but I think if you set it up in a way where your operation is simple enough, you get the right people, you do all this legwork, like you can make that be fun instead of this nightmare,
Do you think those magazines still have the same pull they did back in the day?
No, no way. I mean, even the New York Times is like, they now know the future is video and all this stuff. They're doing, instead of doing features, I just saw this last week. And if you look up New York Times food, I guess, on YouTube, they followed a Twitter, guy, this thing called Salt Hanks. It's a roast beef sandwich place. All they sell is roast beef. It's right next to John's of Bleecker Street. And so has a huge following on Twitter or whatever. I don't know. They're following him. New York Times is following him like in the opening of the restaurant. They're not doing that for John George. They're not doing that for Danielle Boulud. They're not doing that for any big name giant chef, They're doing it for the guy with 1 million TikTok and Instagram followers that can actually help them hit the numbers they need to hit. you know, because at the end of the day, it's about money, you know.
Yeah. I
So
guess.
they want to hit numbers. They're not
Yeah.
trying to expose someone, you know.
Yeah,
Plus,
that's good.
it's not even their lane anymore. There's so many other influencers who made it their lane to discover cool, you know, new things, you know.
Yeah, the content nowadays is a lot different than the content back 10, 15 years ago. And those
Even 4 years ago.
yeah, exactly. Like those legacy media places don't know how to create content like today. They always, every time they try to do TikTok or Instagram, it's like boring.
I think recently it's shifted. Like I'm talking like literally the past few months with the way they like New York Times is the best example, right? That used to be I don't even know. That was the biggest deal in the world. If for a long time, if you're a chef in New York, that's the biggest deal in the world. And now it's really not. And now that the review system changed, you know, they have 2 reviewers. They're reviewing people all over the country. They're doing all these shifts because the landscape has changed and they want to win. They want to win the game. You know, they're not going to just be like, well, this is how we always did it. You know, that doesn't fly in New York. I don't think it flies anywhere anymore. You know, you gotta figure out, you gotta make change. You gotta figure out what your version of that is. And I think also, you know, people clued into the early adopters kind of win, you know,
Yeah.
like if you're the first to YouTube, you know, imagine if you started YouTube 15 years ago.
I
probably have
fucking wish I did. I always tell
Yeah.
people now, I said, they always ask me about the podcast and they're like, what's one thing you wish you did differently? I'm like, I wish I did YouTube instead. Because if I started YouTube when I did the podcast and I just went right to video, it'd have been way bigger. Not that I care,
Yeah.
but like it just would have been easier to do.
Yeah, I think it's like, you know how you write every day on your Instagram. I really like seeing the stories that you write that are kind of this like advice, motivation kind of, I love them. A huge one in that kind of vein that people always write is like, and I think you write too, is like, just get started, just do something, you know? And so that was like a big leap for me when we opened this store. I'm like, I know I have to do this marketing. I'm going to spend more money than I'm comfortable with on getting high quality video and having it come out all the time. And it took months for for those numbers to match up, you know, for that to be the right percentage of our sales for like a marketing budget, say.
Yeah.
But now I'm 6-7 months in and I'm like, thank God I started it when I did, you know, because if I waited the other way around, who knows if I even would ever get there, you know? So it was like, you know, it's one of those things that everyone says and advises on that, you know, I think is real and true. If I was like recommending anything to anyone trying to get started and doing more video, more social media stuff, more whatever, it's like, just start. That's the only way you're going to figure out what's comfortable for you, what works, what resonates with your audience. And it's probably going to be different than what you thought. Yeah. So your only way, you know, it's a weird mindset. It's different than food, right? It's like in marketing, it's almost like every idea is a good idea. Like you might as well try it. You don't know if it'll work, especially with like TikTok, which is like, makes no sense what works and what doesn't on there, you know?
Do you do TikTok too?
Yeah. I cross post on there. Just like might as well, if I'm spending money and time making videos, I might as well put it on another platform. I'm not like as active on it. I don't know if my audience is totally there the same way. I don't know. And I'm just, but I'm trying to figure it out. It's a challenge, you know. I just view all the same reason I got obsessed with making perfect pizza. It's like now I'm like, how do I crack the code on TikTok? You know, I'm going to figure this shit out, you know, eventually. You're not going to stop me.
I'm going to go look at your TikTok when we get off. I want to see what it is. I can't.
Randomly on there. Like I just videos that are also on my Instagram that maybe have a few thousand views, or who knows, they might have a good amount. But on TikTok, they'll just be like 80,000. And you're like, how does this happen? You know, it'd be this. So it's weird. You don't know what, like I said, it's just try stuff out. Yeah. That's all I'm doing. I'm just experimenting, having fun, doing dumb stuff. It's, you know, become one of my favorite parts of this now, you know?
Do you do the recording yourself or do you have somebody do it?
I'm lucky. I do. So I run it all and like, I post everything and I write the captions and, you know, I would say at least 60% of what we post is stuff I'm making.
Yeah.
But then the edited, like, higher quality videos, that's my friend Rob, and I'm super lucky. He was my first employee in the city.
Oh, wow.
I hired him to help me before I even opened, to kind of get everything organized. He was the first manager in my shop in the city, at Corner Slice in the city, and he ended up, he's similar to me, like, played music, worked in restaurants, kind of trying to figure out your place and all of it. And then recently he started his own, like, freelance video and video editing. He does everything, filming, editing,
nice.
all of that. And so I didn't even totally realize that. I knew he dabbled in it, but I didn't know he was going, like, full time out on his own. He reached out to me about a month or two before we opened. He's like, hey, I'd love to do videos with you. And I'm like, I don't know, how am I going to do, all the things, but because working with him is just like having fun, hanging out with my friend, it's like, let's give it a shot, let's see what happens. So yeah, exactly. It didn't have that. And also I had no idea. Initially we just filmed, right? You don't see anything. It's not like on the phone when you're filming yourself and you're, like, watching it and editing it, and there's so many chances to delete it all and be like, no one wants this in the world. No one wants to see my fucking face, like, so it was kind of cool that initially we filmed so much stuff and I had no idea what it was for. It was really just like us doing our thing, and then the response was really good. So I'm like, okay, we got to keep doing this,
Yeah.
And now it's fun. Like I said, it's like, I mean, to me now, your option in the pizzeria is, like, focus on building the business, marketing the business, doing fun stuff, or you can make pizza every single day forever. That's your own, you can be the only pizza maker.
Yeah.
That's your two options if you're a small pizzeria, So I'm going to choose doing everything every time. I want to have fun, do cool stuff. If we're going to be working all the time, I can make my work be doing fun stuff. We're doing collaborations where we're bringing other restaurants, other people here. We've done a few of them already.
I like that idea.
Yeah, we're having shows, not even pizzerias, the thing that resonated with people was the pastry stuff, So we had Pie Girl. She has a pie shop, in more in, like, central South Jersey.
Okay.
She did a pop-up. Rolo's Dairy Bar, he's a cook in New York. He does burgers and stuff. We did something with him. Cardinal Provisions in Asbury Park. They're like a brunch restaurant. They did a pastry and Choco Taco pop-up, so it's just fun stuff.
Do you reach out to them or do they reach out to you?
Both have happened,
Like, I'm sure once you get one going, other people start to reach out to you and say, hey, I want to do that too.
Definitely that's happened. That's the power sort of having the high quality videos, is that, like, people want to be, and we make, I mean, hey, if Rob, who does the videos for me, can make me look good in a video, he can make other people look good too, So we make people look good in the videos. We have a fun time. They make money doing it. It's a win-win for everyone. It keeps our customers entertained with cool, fun stuff. And it gives me an excuse to, like, I never would have gotten to go to those places in this time. I have a new restaurant. I'm not traveling to go eat anywhere,
Right.
I'm sleeping and working. So, like, if I could make on a Monday, instead I'm driving down to Asbury Park to shoot video and have fun and film to promote this event. And then I get to eat food and, it's fun, man. I can't see going back now. I only kind of want to go into it further.
I love it. Do you think that what you're doing can work anywhere, no matter where you are in the country, like, or does it have to be more of a dense populated area?
That's an interesting question. I think you can right now, like 2025, more than ever, you can do anything anywhere, you know?
Like what you're doing content-wise can work, but does it work with what you're doing style-wise of the pizzeria?
It's hard for me to know that, like, but I can use a different example, like, and I think it matters. In New York right now, everyone used to say we had terrible Mexican food, right? There's tons of new restaurants coming in doing incredible Mexican food. Mexican chefs are coming from Mexico, opening places. The tortillas, a lot of them are buying. A lot of them are making them in the restaurant, but a lot of them are buying them from a place in Kansas City. There's a place called Caramello, and it's in Kansas City in an industrial area, and they make these incredible tortillas, and that just happens to be where they make them. But because you can buy them online, get them direct shipped to your house, direct shipped to your restaurant, you know, who cares? It doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter where it is. And for them, it probably works perfectly, you know?
Yeah.
So I think there's an opportunity, you know, everyone's looking you up on Google Maps.
True.
Or, you know, you're not found a different way. I think there's something to be said for nowadays just looking for a place where you're wanted, where you're filling a hole, not just like, you know, because those prime spots that are just for convenience, those are going to the chains who have way more money, you know, and a different model. You know, if you're not fed by a commissary, if that's not your model, that extreme rent is probably not worth it. You're probably better off being in a cheaper place where you can kind of make your own path.
Yeah.
And people are more thankful that you're doing something cool for them, you know?
Yeah, and if you're doing what you're doing on social media and online, that's the way for people to find out about you and then come to you versus being in like a high traffic area where they find out about you because they see you, a physical location.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish you could have both, you know? I wish like the high volume, high traffic, incredibly visible location was also cheap, but you know, it's not. So,
but think about it. Years ago, you'd have that non-visible, low-traffic location. You'd be like, that's all I can afford. But there's no internet. There's no way to get people there. But now at least you have a way to get in front of people, whether you have a high-traffic area or not.
Exactly. And then I think you can also there's so much technology to figure out, like, where the underserved areas are, you know? So ideally, you could find, like, a high traffic or high density area that's underserved. That's probably your best place. And nowadays you can actually do that. You know, you have tools yourself to do that. You don't have to rely on a broker or whoever to find that.
Right.
And you can build up a following. I mean, like, you know, my first store is in a food hall. So we didn't open a brick and mortar, our first store. It was to save money and make it be like a stepping stone. It kind of like baked it in that we're going to do something else. We're going to learn our lessons. This is a lab. You know, we're going to test stuff out, see what works. There's so many opportunities to do that now. It's mind-blowing. You have people opening restaurants now that already built before they even have a restaurant. They have 30, 40,000 followers, you know, from baking pizza out of their home oven or one, whatever those, you know, one Ghazni oven or whatever all those ovens, you know,
Unis
all
and
that
Ghaznis,
stuff is. This stuff didn't exist, man. You can just watch a video now. You can watch a video, learn how to do stuff, follow somebody, you know. So there's so many ways to get started in this that are low risk, low money. Build a following first and then figure it out. Your goal really is like, you know, make the lessons you're going to have to learn be the cheapest they can possibly be. That's sort of the goal. Because unfortunately, no matter what, you're going to learn lessons. And in business, they cost money. That's it. You know, it doesn't matter what your experience is anymore. You could have the most experience in the world. Those lessons still cost money. They're still going to happen. Everything's changing. So like if you can figure out a way to keep those cheap, you know, while the scale is small. And there's also something cool that happens when something's limited, you know, like if you know, if I knew, hey, like you're running this place, it's for a year, you know, that's it. You're in and out. You're making your money. It's guaranteed. You know, thinking like you secure a pop-up in a brewery or something for a year. If you're like a new pizzeria, what you can do in that year because you know it has an end, that is like, there's something freeing about that, you know? So I that's what I would recommend to people before you sign a lease, don't sign a lease before you know things about leases, you know? No matter how much your lawyer costs, they're not going to protect you in the way you think they are, you know?
They're really just protecting themselves against you telling them that they made a mistake.
you need to know enough, about the thing to get a good deal. It's, everything has levels, so you just got just start on the path as simple as you can, try and reduce how much money you lose, and until you get the recipe down,
I love it. This has been a great podcast. I appreciate you coming on. Corner Slice on Instagram, cornerslice.pizza is your website. And we'll link everything up.
Corner.
Go ahead.
Yeah, cornerslice.pizza, corner_slice on Instagram.
Yeah. Go give you guys a follow on Instagram, because you guys doing some good stuff on Instagram. It's fun, and you do a lot of good videos like we talked about on this podcast. And everything that we mentioned, I'll link up in the description below. Whether you're watching this on YouTube or on Spotify, there'll be links below, so you can kind of go give you a follow and say hello. But Mike, this has been fun. I appreciate you doing this and joining me and hanging out on the podcast. I can't wait to, now that we've talked on the podcast and you're in New Jersey, we got to come in and do a video for the YouTube.
Yeah, man. Next time I'm 15 minutes from Newark Airport. So anytime you fly into New York, fly into Newark or fly out, and then you can come over. We have a really neat space, and that's my favorite. I don't really want to show my space online because I feel like we do unique stuff, but I really like watching the ones you've seen, and so I want to do it, just because I feel like it'll be interesting. But I'm always blown away how much people show,
It's true, right? But like you said, not like 1.01% of people are going to take action on anything. So
no, I think it'll help connect other pizza makers, and I think that's what's cool. And a huge part of why I wanted to do this in the first place was like to up the quality of everything. If we push the bar higher and buy nicer flour, do just increase quality, that's going to make the whole industry kind of come up, and it's already happened.
I love it. And we'll message you next time I'm in the area. But I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. It was great talking to you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mike, for joining me. Thank you for watching and hanging out with me here today. If you want to get started with anything that we talked about in this episode of the How You Slice It podcast, we will link it in the description below this video. I just want to say thanks. If you want to check out Slice and everything that they can do to help your business, the phone, the register, the point of sale system, the online ordering, the boxes, which are super cheap and custom, go check it out. We will link all that as well in the description below this video. And I highly suggest you do that, because they're trying to build a better business model for pizza shops and help you make more money and have more time with your family, because that's what it's all about. Pizza's great. We want to run a business, but we want to have balance, and I appreciate that. So thank you so much for tuning in. Hit like, hit subscribe, and we'll see you right back here next week.